Not only are we built for this, but we built for this.
Built for this moment, and the moment is now.
And yo.
What up? What up?
What's up, world?
Hey, y'all.
Not just our co-workers. What's up to the whole wide world?
What up, world? Thank you for joining us this week on a special edition of the We Outside After Work podcast. Yes, today is Aaron's 30th birthday.
It's my birthday.
Yeah.
It's my birthday.
Yeah. How does it feel being 30 for the 5th time?
You know, you only turn 30 once.
Right.
And it's just something about being 30 for the 5th time.
Are you like immortal?
I don't believe that I am immortal. I think I'm...
So why don't you count your 30th birthdays?
I do count my 30th birthday.
Like in 30, like 31, 32.
Yeah, I turned 30 this year.
All right.
And then tomorrow I'll be 29 and I'll start my countdown. So anybody
So when you're like 80, you're not going to be 30.
I'll be 30 for the 51st time.
All right, guys. Well, that's a little strange. We're going to start with our check-in. It's been a minute since it's been both of us just doing a solo episode. So
Solo dolo.
we got a lot to, not really a lot, but we just want to check in with you guys and let y'all know what we've been up to. And because it is Aaron's birthday, I'll let you do the honors.
Usually I would save this moment for like the happy hour moment because obviously me turning 30 for the 5th time is a very monumental day for me, right? I was poured with so much love, so much appreciation. You know, all of you guys.
This is
every
dramatic.
last one of you guys out there.
Marvin is dramatic.
That wished me a happy birthday. Thank you. No, but seriously, like family, friends, strangers, people that I just start working with, like, you know, love is abundant. And
is that important to you, though, before you start with your sentimental stuff? Like, when people say happy birthday or, like, they acknowledge it's your birthday, is that really, like, a big deal for you?
Yeah, because imagine if you didn't get it.
There are some people out there who they don't celebrate their birthdays or they don't want to acknowledge their birthdays. And I think that's fucking crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. I think everybody has their own reasons for how they receive things, but
yes, and I do think though there's always some type of trauma that has happened to where they feel that way, or that too. But for me, like, I'm big on birthdays. Like, I'll usually schedule like my whole weekend before my birthday, depending on which weekday it falls on, because I want to celebrate the day I was born. Like, I feel like just living is a privilege. And, like, you being the person who came out of your mother's womb, out of the millions of sperm cells, you should be grateful. So I'm going to celebrate every single birthday. On the flip side,
it was only one egg.
But there's a bunch of sperms, millions of sperms that come out, right? And then the one who gets to that egg fastest or, like, is accepted by the egg, you know, that's you.
So you just an outrunner. That's what
you
are.
Like, you are one in a million. So act
or
like it.
50. Didn't you say 50?
50 million. I don't know sperm count.
Unless it was low.
Yeah, so, okay.
But no, seriously, like, it means a lot because I actually trolled a little bit for this birthday. Like,
how so?
For the entire month of November.
You did a countdown.
Yeah, I did a countdown every single day. I posted different videos or pictures or moments from 30s of the past. And, you know, I just felt...
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, it felt kind of good. You know,
I thought it was just you doing, like, Throwback Thursdays with your friends.
Yeah, no, it was a couple birthdays that was outside of my 30s. I think it was my 29th birthday, which you came to. A bunch of people came to.
That was the house party?
Mr. East.
Oh,
we was at Miss East. Yeah, it was a minute.
I remember that.
It was a minute ago. It's all good.
Okay.
But, you know, moments like that, it means something. It's
very sentimental.
It's fun.
Yeah, those are moments in time where, like, you remember the people who showed up for you.
Word. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, shout out to us. And
oh, damn, you just gonna jump in like you showed up for me, huh?
I did.
You showed up for me?
I did. I definitely showed up for you.
Dana showed up.
And I gave you a gift. I gave you a gift card.
Yes, to Starbucks.
And I gave you a bottle of DeLeon, which we're waiting for our sponsor. But,
well, I don't know if Diddy going.
Oh, yeah, he got a lot going on right now.
I like my life. So I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah. Yeah,
my car.
We
my
don't
car
need
wanted to blow up.
no cease and desist.
I don't want me to desist. I don't give a fuck about a cease and desist. Is that a word?
He got a lot of money to do a lot
What's
of things.
What's a desist?
I don't know. But let me do my check-in.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my check-in is Thanksgiving just passed, and I recently came from Arizona.
I'm sorry I lied to you, Martin.
I went out there to visit my family, and my cousin who lives in New York, she also pulled up with her 5 children.
Hey.
And I really appreciated her doing that, because I have only been the person out of like my cousins to really go out and visit in Arizona, like my grandma and my aunts who moved out there recently, and my other cousin, but he lives in Texas, which is closer. But
she got an excuse.
But a flight from New Jersey
with 5 kids
to Arizona, just for me, is like around $1,000. So the fact that she did it with all of her kids and they all had their own seats, okay?
If I lap up on a plane, is that
you
free?
Can't do that.
Okay.
If your baby, I think, is like under, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's like under a certain amount of weight. If it's not a newborn, they have to have their own seat. So yeah, she like pulled up, and it was my first time being around like babies in a long time a long amount of like an extended period of time. So I enjoyed it. Like, we had some bonding time. We colored. We did puzzles. I gave them chips at 10 o'clock in the morning after cereal, because I was the only one that was up early as far as like the adults.
Oh, you must not know how kids work.
And because of the time difference. So Arizona is a 2-hour time difference from here.
2?
So yeah, right now it's 2 because
Essential?
of daylight savings time, mountain time.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the adults were still asleep, and I was up around like 7 a.m. and all the little kids were up too. And my grandma, she told them, she was like, whatever is here, like you can have whatever you want. Mind you, there was a counter full of like chips, there was ice cream, there was candies. And it was one morning that they took that literal, and they all had their own carton of ice cream.
Jesus Christ.
And they were like, my aunt was like, no, this isn't what we meant. Like, you need a bowl of ice cream, not a carton of ice cream.
No, they don't need the ice cream either. Why?
Because they don't normally eat like that. Like, my cousin, she literally doesn't give them any sweets and stuff. They eat healthy. They eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, which is great. But this was Thanksgiving. So, and I want to be like that aunt that you remember that, you know, whenever I'm around, like, we have a good time. We eat snacks. And... yeah, I was this
close. I was this close to saying, you know, Nori would love to hang out with Aunt Dana, but clearly you're gonna have Nori running her crazy ass up and down the goddamn hallways.
I'm gonna give her candy, and then she's gonna go home to you.
You know what? For those of you who don't watch all of our episodes, I'm gonna bring one back for Dana, because Dana clearly don't understand what bad children are like. So on the previous episode, Dana,
but you know what I realized though? I don't like the sound of kids crying. Like, hearing that for a long period of time, like, it like irritates me.
What about kids outside of your apartment at 2 a.m? Do you like that sound either?
No, I don't hear that. But my neighbor, I told you, my neighbor downstairs, they have, I think he's 1, and he still be running up and down. That shit still irritates me.
You know why? Because he get candy and cake and ice cream.
No, because there's no discipline. We talked about that. Yeah, we're not gonna get into that. But
what that boy need to do is he need to go to school.
He's like 1.
Eventually.
What age do kids go to daycare?
Shit, Nori went to daycare like 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there an age where they should wait to go to daycare?
I think it all depends on what the mother has going on, or the father, depending on who's home. But typically, the mother is on maternity leave,
which isn't that long. Right.
If you know how to maneuver it properly. So the way that we did it was, she kind of went to work first. I had an extended leave, so I had 6 months, I believe. And I had 3 months.
You said she went to work first, so she gave birth. And how long after giving birth did she go back to work?
Probably about a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then I was home with Nori. So then after my time ended up exhausting, and she went back to work.
Okay.
So that way, you know, when you got to go back to work, now you got some time in, she can go to daycare.
I feel like that's rare, because usually the mom wants to spend the most time with the baby when she comes out for that bonding experience, and then also the breastfeeding piece. But if she did wait like a couple weeks, then, you know, that's fine. But Yeah, like that's the first time I ever heard like a dad actually.
Cause I'm like that. I'm that pops. You feel me?
Dope.
Like, you know, if any of y'all single mothers out there need a new pops or some training tips on how a man should be a dad, you know, I got some tips and tricks.
Okay, I hope it's just parenting tips and tricks. Okay, speaking of kids, all right. Since we're on the topic, we're gonna talk about how this was something you sent me. So Aaron sent me a reel that was this guy talking about how when kids go to school, it's like the worst thing you could do for your child is send them to either a public school, a private school. And I just had some thoughts on that because it's kind of like, well, what exactly do you mean when you say is the worst thing?
And then to piggyback off of that, it was basically, will you raise a kid to be a millionaire if they are going to school, right? Because school raises kids to be workers and not thinkers. So me and Dana, we disagree on this. But
we disagree because I feel like the construct of going to school, it does have pros and cons. Like the pros are your child is exposed to other children their age, and you may not, there's some parents who like they truly just don't have the time to give their child that learning experience and teaching them like how to farm or like how to do different things to take care of yourself or even to like start a business. I think there's parents who do have that extra time and they are entrepreneurs and they can, you know, take their child under their wing at a young age. Like that's a privilege because most working class parents, like they literally have to go to work 9 to 5 or whatever hours you work because you need to support your child. And who else is going to watch your kid besides school? But on the flip side, it's like we've had so many teachers on our podcast. You always see like videos of teachers dealing with behaviors of the children who they don't get disciplined at home. So it's hard to actually teach because you're so busy trying to like teach behavioral things to a child who doesn't get that at home. And it's like, how much time are you spending teaching rather than trying to control this child's behavior?
For me, I disagree solely because school is a choice, right? I know we don't think of it like that because from the onset, we were taught you go to preschool or daycare and then you go to elementary school and so on and so forth. Like it's been etched in our like ideology that this is what we do. I learned my ABCs, my 1, 2, 3s, my colors, my numbers, all of that prior to even getting into elementary school. Like you can get any education that you want, especially with the internet, anywhere. You don't need to actually go to school. For interaction, I don't need to be around other kids other kids in the school setting to interact with other children.
That's usually where you'll find, especially during the day, kids around your age.
Because people have been conditioned to be workers.
Yes, which is our society, but I do feel like
which is on purpose.
It is on purpose. If you're talking about a mentality of if you want your child to become a millionaire or like just go the route where you're not going to school every day, I do feel like that is something that a parent who does have the extra time and who has set up their lives in a way where once they do have children, they're able to give them the time that they need to mold their brains into being like a business owner. But if it goes back to the start of like when people do have kids, most times it's not planned, right? Most times it is like, oh, I'm pregnant, or like, oops, babies, like we talked about. And at that point, there's really no like foundation of like, all right, we're gonna have this amount of savings for us and then this amount of savings for the child. And we have a job where like we don't have to go every single day, so we can allocate our time solely to our kid. Like I do feel like that is a privilege which most people can't experience.
Yeah, I see school more so as a babysitter. I don't see school as the necessary component into building a better society. If you pay attention to people's intelligence level, a lot of people that we're around are really dumb. Like this is not me being I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious.
I feel like
but
shows you a lot.
As simple
the
as
common
driving,
sense ain't that common.
But even passing a driver's test, it's so many key elements to what you have to do to pass that test. And so many people get pushed through the driving test in the school setting, and then they all have to do is memorize what to do in an actual field of driving. And now you get a license.
I mean, I've heard stories where, let's say a child who is disrupting the school or the class all the time, right, where the teacher can't actually teach. There's been stories that I've heard where, like, teachers will give them a passing grade so that they can pass and go to the next level so they don't have to deal with them. So in that sense, yes, it's like, well, is this child actually learning anything to move on to the next grade? Or are you just doing that so you don't have to deal with them anymore?
But even in that case, that disruptive child doesn't necessarily have to not be smart enough to move to the next grade. It's just
they may not be feeling challenged.
School is weird. In general, the way that we teach our children is weird, right? It was a picture floating on the internet a couple years ago. It had a fish, a monkey, an elephant, a cat, and a dog all on the park. And I think it was like, I'm going to teach you how to climb a tree. Everybody don't climb the tree the same way, but this is the way that we're going to teach you to be successful.
And that's another thing too when it comes to standardized testing too. Like, I'm such a bad tester. Like, that was always something that, like, I dreaded, because I knew when it came to, like, English and, like, critical thinking, like, I had those skills, but you're not learning, you're not being tested on your skills. It's more so being tested to take a test.
And I think that's where we are getting people conditioned to become workers.
It is
and
conditioning.
Not thinkers, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at actual work outside of being an engineer or being a doctor, things that require intelligence, most jobs don't require intelligence. Most jobs require skill, right? I can screw in a screw and I can build a house.
Yeah,
I can ring a cash register. That's simple shit.
I think in our society, going to school is the norm from elementary school up until high school and you graduate, and then college.
I'm going to disagree
college,
already.
Hold on, let me finish. I know it's your birthday, but chill out. Yeah, but some kids may or may not go to college, which is fine. But I do feel like there comes a point in your life, like either mid to late 20s usually, where you're at a crossroads. Now, for me, and this is just my experience, I knew the first day of my corporate job. I remember I was in the kitchenette of my job, and everyone was having, like, just regular, like, monotonous conversation. And I felt like I was just looking around as if, like, it was like an outer body experience. And I was like, yo, like, I could never picture myself doing this up until 65 when I retire. So that was my moment to where I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to get out of the rat race, because that's really what it is, right? Working corporate or working a job until you retire. But, like, that's something that's a personal choice, I feel like. Like, some people come to that sooner than others, but sometimes people don't come to that at all.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, but I do feel like they, like, the higher-ups, 1%, whatever, like, they do need worker ants for people to make the economy happen and go. Like, there's different, what is it called? Statuses? What's that called? Classes. Classes of people, yeah. For a reason. Because you can't have, like,
they're not
rich,
real.
super rich people if you don't have poor people. Because it's like a balancing act.
Or you shouldn't have anything. It should be everyone living amongst each other in a barter system. Why? Because
that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen because people are greedy.
Right, but in our realistic society, like, that's not.
No, I don't mean to. I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but I don't think you're using the words. Rude. I don't think you're using the words correctly. You're saying in a realistic society, but it was a realistic society.
In our society.
In society.
In current 2023.
In nature, you have different things where things can flow with each other by doing certain things.
That's what was supposed to happen. I was actually having this conversation recently with someone, and we were talking about how, like, we're still. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. But we're still using fossil fuels. Why are we still using fossil fuels in 2023 for, like, gasoline and for electricity? Like, we should have been over that hump. If anything, we should have been, like, traveling the universes and shit at this point.
I don't know if that's...
And no, it's a fact, because There is other energy sources like nuclear energy, wind energy, solar energy. Like there's other different things that if they were actually able to get to the point where like multiple, like a lot of people would have access to that, we would be way more advanced in, you know, just like travel and just like not being stuck on Earth. That's how I feel.
Do you remember what I told you about people being dumb?
It does. I don't think it has to do with being dumb.
Oh, it has everything.
No, it doesn't. It has to do with the class system, with the rich and the poor. Yes, because fossil fuels is $1 billion industry. Exactly. So you think these billionaires are gonna be like, oh wait, no, let's stop making our money so that, because anytime like nuclear energy, like that shit probably wouldn't even. It'd probably be like 50 cents if we actually took advantage of that.
If we were actually smart enough to take advantage of it.
I don't think it has to do with being smart.
Does. So let me explain my perspective.
You can explain your point of view, but like that don't mean it's a fact.
That's fine. It's my opinion.
Yes.
My opinion is people are dumb because it's more the 1% has all the money, right? So what would that indicate? 99% of the people who have least amount of money.
I don't think having money equates to being smart.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is 1% of the people have most of the money. 99% of the people have less of the money. If these 99% of the people recognize that the 1% of the people is taking full advantage over them, killing the earth because it's paying them versus doing things that's more constructive for society, then we would be in a better place. But they're too fucking stupid.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say two things can be true at once, where my point of view and your point of view can be true at the same time. But I do feel like when you come from generations of wealth, you do have that access to power, because in our society, like the United States, like money does equate to power. Like that's just the world that we live in right now. So I do feel like if you have all this power, you can control like, okay, we're going to keep people, for example, using the fossil fuels because my family is making billions of dollars from that. If anyone tries to like change that in any way, shape, or form, we're going to do whatever we need to do to stop that process.
Or what they'll do is they'll delay the process so they can get into that process themselves. So when they started making electric vehicles, they've been trying to make electric vehicles since the 50s and 60s. They've
had electric vehicles,
right,
like prototypes for
But
decades.
Then all these other companies like, okay, Ford, now they have an electric vehicle. Mazda has an electric vehicle. It's a reason that it wasn't just first to the market and now they're going to take over.
Yeah, we're just so far behind.
No,
when
people
it comes
are stupid.
Either way, like, I think it's bullshit.
I don't think it's bullshit. I think it's on purpose. And I think
it is done on purpose.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think
because people with money are stopping
because they're smart.
The majority from getting to where we need to be in order to be a more advanced society.
And then we fall victim to things like democracy, which thinks that our 51% is something that's going to make a big enough difference, when clearly the 1% is still in control of everything, because they're going to have individuals on both sides lobbying for everything that they need. So no matter what, they're winning at the end of the day, because people are not intelligent enough to collectively come together.
People are followers. We already talked about that. So yeah, we can go on and on about that topic, but we're not trying to be political on your birthday.
I'm down with it on my birthday. But one thing that I'm not down with is selfish people. And
expand on that.
And one thing that I've learned about selfish people is selfish people tend to bring others into their circumference, right? And that usually leads into love. Do you believe that if someone is selfish and doesn't have their intentions pure, that they should even be pursuing another person?
I need an example. Because what do you mean?
So let's say I know for a fact that I don't want to be in a relationship, but I know you want to be in a relationship. So I'm entertaining you anyway. Is that okay?
I think a lot of people do that.
It's okay?
Not okay. No, I think it's a waste of time.
I
think it's a waste of time, and I do feel like it is manipulating the other person's feelings and making them think that you feel the same way that they do for you. And I also feel like you already know. I just feel like most people, they already know the position that they want to keep people in their lives, right? Like they know if they want this person to eventually be a significant other, a partner, a life partner, or whatever, or just a friend. But I do feel like things like the lines get blurred when emotions are involved, and also once you start having sex, because we all know intimacy does change things, because it does create that bond. Like even if people don't believe in it or not, intimacy does change how you feel about another person, and they may not feel that towards you, but it could be the opposite way, where, you know, like they have more feelings for you because you guys have done that. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of people do waste people's times because, you know, like they may not get the person that they want, or they're kind of stalling until they find the person that they want, and this person is just convenient, and it is very selfish.
So what should that other person, the selfish person, do to stop themselves from being entertained? And I know that's a very, very tough word to use, because that's what it is. It's like you are occupying this space to entertain me.
I think there are people who don't realize that they're being selfish. Like they still always find reasoning behind or justifying their behavior of like, oh, actually, you know, if this person wanted to leave, like I don't have a gun to their head, they can leave at any point in time. I'm not ready yet. Like they have commitment issues. Like there's always a plethora of reasons, but ultimately like that speaks volumes about their character to me.
I think the selfish person is also entitled to the opportunity to grow, right? Because sometimes you need somebody to open you up. Sometimes, not, no pun intended. Sorry, I'm immature sometimes. But sometimes you need some people to open you up, right? You need people to help you see that, you know, maybe this is the right thing for me. Maybe I was looking at this all wrong to begin with. And I think your ideology is corrupted when you don't have proper experiences. So if I'm with that woman, or anybody's with the individual that they want to be with, or multiple individuals.
Because we are an ally of LGBTQ.
If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it, because your honesty isn't hurting anyone.
Yeah, and I also feel like this life thing, it's not like there's no rules, there's no instructions.
That's what I be saying.
I know. But like if you truly think about it, we're all just flowing in our own wavelengths, and we're always trying to figure it out. Like even my grandma, who she's about to be 75 on the 21st of December, and even at her age, she's still learning different things about like herself, different ideologies that she agrees or disagrees with. But at the end of the day, it's like, yes, you know what's right and wrong based off like society and like, you know, what you see on social medias and stuff like that. But ultimately, like, you have to do what's best for you and what you see fit. Now, when it comes to, like you said, we don't, what did you just say? I forgot.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I'm drunk. It's my birthday. Turn up. But no, go ahead.
Yeah, so like my whole point is though, like, it's not a bad thing if you're talking about like growing, right? And like people teaching you like as you go, and like you realize, okay, this isn't fair, this isn't right. But I think it also is a point where like you realize you're hurting someone's feelings. Like if you notice that certain behaviors that you're doing, let's say if they don't want you going on other dates or like seeing other people because they really like you, and they express that to you, and you know full and well how they feel about you, but you still continue to do that anyway. Yes, it's fucked up, but ultimately it's like, ultimately you don't have that commitment to them, right? Like you don't have, you never said like, all right, we're in this relationship together, and these are the boundaries that we talked about, and I'm not going to cross these because I want to respect you. Because for me, it's a respect thing too.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of screw up in this entire relationship life thing. We try so hard to follow and make everyone happy without making ourselves happy, right? And then when we do make ourselves happy, we do it in spite of the person that we're with. Like, we gotta be on the same accord. I'm not telling you to compromise. We don't
have to.
No, we got to be on it. We got to flow together if we're going in the same direction.
We do, but like this was something that I talked about before too. It's like when you're in a relationship and let's say the person that you're with, like you told them everything that you don't like and things that make you comfortable and things that you feel like is disrespectful, but they continue to do it anyway. For me, it's like they already showed you that for you, your boundaries don't necessarily count when it comes to them. Like they're still going to do what's best for them, but it's like your responsibility to either stick with that and hopefully things change if that's the lane you want to go in and like flow with them or whatever. You can always remove yourself from the situation. Of course. There's absolutely no reason for someone to ever feel like this is the end-all, be-all situation and I'm stuck here for the rest of my life. Like, to have that mentality, to me, is fucking crazy.
I had a conversation recently with my homegirl who's expressing similar sentiments. And then my rebuttal to her is, well, have you ever sat down and talked to them about what these non-negotiables are? Right? Like, if you're saying, hey, I don't like you coming home after 10 o'clock. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I think you're unsafe. Different things like that.
Okay. I just want to point something out that you just said. So I was recently listening to Iyanla Vanzant. I
hate her.
Yeah, you said that before. But she has a podcast called the
Fix My Life?
R Spot. I think it's the R Spot.
Yeah, because ain't nobody in her G Spot.
Anyways, yeah. So I was recently listening to, yes, the R Spot. So the crazy part is, this was a time where like me and my mom were like going through shit, like our up and down relationship.
You got to go through things to grow through things.
And I just wanted to like listen to her podcast. So she had this episode of this woman talking about, it was about mothers and relationships with their daughters. And the woman was basically saying, she was like 35 years old. She had her own kids. And she was like, I want to completely cut my mom off. Like, I don't want nothing to do with her. And I've already made that decision. So Iyanla was basically saying, she was like, you can't cut your mom off because number one, like her blood runs through you. Like that's she's bullshit. A part of you. Just in like the literal sense, she is a part of you. Like you came from your mother.
You can cut
You can, but you can't, because the reason why the woman was calling was because she hasn't talked to her mother in like 3 years, but it's still affecting her. Because she has her own daughter and she realized the relationship with her own daughter was like not the best. And then she started to put the pieces together as to like why the relationship with her mom isn't working out, and then how it affected like the relationship with her daughter. So something she said was like, the woman, she was like, oh, my mother, she's very rude and she's a horrible person. One time she put me in a trunk when I was a child, and that really hurt my feelings. But there's been other times where she's done like horrible things to me, and I just want to completely cut her off in my adult life. So Iyanla was like, she was like, well, there's two sides of the story.
What's the other side?
So your mom,
there wasn't no room in the back seat.
Listen. So her mom may have like accidentally put her in the trunk, didn't realize, and when she realized, she took her out, right? But the daughter took that as, oh, my mom doesn't care about me, and she put me in the trunk. And that was the daughter's side of the story.
I hope we got the mother side of the
story.
So
then she was like, well, when your mother does certain things to you, you're taking it personal. Like when someone does something to you, you're taking it personal without actually telling them how it makes you feel. Like that's the key piece. So like you said with your friend, how when he stays out at night, whoever stays out at night, like it makes her feel whatever. You have to express that to people of how their actions make you feel personally and how it really hurts your feelings, so they can understand the bigger picture. Like, oh, I'm not just operating in my own space. Like, oh, I'm going to do this because this is just all I know, or like my thought process. And I actually took some of that to my own mom situation, where she did something recently and I was kind of like, I don't want to deal with her like anymore or right now, and like I'll talk to you in a couple weeks. And I literally told her, expressed to her like, hey, when you did this, it made me feel like that. And she was just very apologetic. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. And it made me think like, maybe she doesn't actually know how certain actions makes me feel.
Yes.
So in relationships, like, you really have to express that. And even after you express that, if they're still disrespecting you, that's a different story.
And this is the beautiful thing about this podcast, right? Because this conversation was actually our next topic, which flowed very, very perfectly. And I love that. And it's very important. Not just for you to have that conversation. And then we'll use you as an example because that was the last thing that we heard. Not just you having that conversation with your mom, but your mom also internalizing how you feel, right? What I've dealt with at a couple of my last couple jobs is somebody will be like, oh, you know what? You're an asshole. And instead of me being like, damn, was I an asshole? Let me internalize that and see how I cannot be an asshole. It's like, I'm not no asshole. Why you call me an asshole? That's disrespectful. I'm gonna write you up.
You're being defensive.
Right? You're being defensive and you're not taking
Have they actually told you why they felt like you're being an asshole?
Before they even have to tell me why, I think we all need to recognize that you are being called to the floor, right? If I say, hey, this is making me feel a way, what are you going to do to recognize that you are making me feel a way? It doesn't require you to justify it or deny it.
But you know what it is too? Like, you can't be so like caught up in your own bubble and in your own world and think like the fucking world revolves around you, because it doesn't. But it doesn't. But when you're dealing with relationships with other people in different ways in your life, like a girlfriend, cousins, friendship, like, you have to understand that it's not just your feelings. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm gonna do this because I'm used to doing it this way. Like, no, there's another person or another group of people here too, and how you operate doesn't automatically mean everyone else is comfortable with that.
Well, I'll give a personal story because this is the way that I had to learn to self-reflect in moments like this. I was working at Target and it was this kid named Joe. Now, Joe, he had like a deformity in his arm. So when you would see him, he would always hold his arm like this. But every time you seen him work, he was kicking ass. Everything, he was just busting ass, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't the easiest person to talk to, though. So one day I asked him to do something for me. And he was just being so dismissive. I'm like, don't nobody at Target dismiss me. Everybody at Target loves me. I went to Target today and they still like, you're the best manager we ever had, right? But for whatever reason, this kid just kept dismissing me. So I'm like, yo, somebody figure this out, because if I got to talk to him, it's going to be a different conversation. Because I done asked you to do this 3 different times, and you're giving me pushback. So now we're arguing on this elsewhere. I don't do that. Like, we're not about to do this. Bring him to the office and let's figure this out. And my peer at the time, she sat us down. She's like, you know, Joe, what's going on? What's the problem? Well, every time he comes around, he acts like his shit don't stink. He arrogant. He's like pretentious. He just makes me feel small. And he didn't even ask me if I knew how to do this task.
I want to talk about that.
Right? He said,
when you're done.
He said, you didn't even ask me if I knew how to do this task. I've never done this task, and you just told me to do it. So I said, well, my apologies, Joe. I just see you doing great at everything that you do. I never would have assumed that you didn't know how to do this. Plus, you could have just said, hey, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
So both of us in that moment, we refused to internalize the things that both of us had to talk about. And instead, we allowed it to create animosity. After that moment, him and I became really, really close. I started understanding more about his life and different things to try to help him out. And he became somebody that I can rely on in that department, because he was in our grocery department during Thanksgiving. I need you. Right? So it's like little things like that really help you be a better professional.
Yeah, you just said something, how when he was around you, like, he felt like you were pretentious and like all these XYZ things, which are assumptions. There's something else, like on the flip side. I do feel like when you are that person that does have that confidence about themselves and it exudes, right? Like whenever you walk into a room, like, you don't even, at least for me, like, I know I have this energy because like I've been told. And I'm not really the loudest person in the room. Like, I literally can just be chilling or like come in and like say hi to everybody or whatever, and then like that's it. But I do feel like just because you give that energy, don't feel like you have to dim that. Like, as cliche as it may sound, like, don't dim your light, like, that is a true statement, because I feel like it may make other people feel uncomfortable, right? Like, it may make people feel like, oh, like, who the fuck does he think or she think she is? And, you know, like, I'm going to give them attitude because they're coming in with that vibe. And some people, like, they don't have that, right? Like, they feel insecure, or like they kind of like want to, you know, not be themselves or be like too much of themselves because they don't want to portray that to the outside world outside of their house. So if you are that person though, like, I do just want to say, just keep that energy about yourself and keep that spirit, because like, you know, you just don't want to fit into a little box, right? Or like code switch because you feel like it makes other people comfortable.
But I also do think it's important to internalize those things, because if somebody has criticisms for you,
internalizing though and being your authentic self to me are different.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to make it you. Like, if somebody tell you you're an asshole, that you're an asshole, like, no, that's not necessarily the case. But
it's also a misunderstanding.
It might not be. You might have actually been an asshole to somebody and you just didn't realize.
Yeah, you didn't realize it.
You know, for me, this is normal behavior. It's like, we in Jersey. If I'm walking really fast and I might not say hello to somebody, it's not because I'm rude.
Oh, I remember when I was in college, like, the way I operate, I'm like so laser focused sometimes if I'm either trying to get somewhere on time because I'm running late, or like my mind is just elsewhere. Like, I'm physically here, but mentally I'm thinking about like a whole bunch of other shit. I'll literally just be walking and not realize my surroundings sometimes. And I used to get that all the time where I was walking on King campus.
Standoffish.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, you never say hi to me when I see you.
With my hug, yeah.
Or like, yeah. And I was like, I deadass didn't even notice. But, you know, like, I think that's just like my personality sometimes, and I can't help it.
And it's not that you need to help it, but it's like, okay, I didn't recognize that that's the perception.
But thank you for pointing that out. Exactly. And, you know, like, I'll try to be better, but
you know, sometimes people don't do that. People are like, man, that's some bullshit. I ain't fucking standoffish.
That's like, another thing, yeah. Like, if you're actually open to the criticism and working on that.
But usually at the end of our show, we like to. End? No, it's not the end just yet.
Okay.
But we like to do a happy hour. But I wanted to change some things up a little bit.
Don't do it now.
What? It's 5 questions. We're just gonna ask the 5 questions.
Okay.
It's 5 questions that's just some fun from us to y'all, just to give y'all a little further insight on who we are, things that make us happy, and some fun.
This was on the outline?
This was on the outline.
I didn't see this.
It's okay. You told me to drop it down to 5 instead of 10. It's okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to answer the question too, okay?
Okay.
What is your favorite Christmas or birthday present ever?
Ever? This was like on Hugo's podcast when we were doing like the rapid fire. Yeah. My favorite birthday Christmas gift ever. I want to say when I probably was like 7 years old, and this was when we used to spend Christmases at my grandma and aunt's house in Towns River back in the day. And I was obsessed with Barbie, and my dad got me like this nice, huge Barbie dream house. And it was one of those moments where like me and my brother always had something to unwrap under the tree, and my cousins unfortunately didn't. They may have had gifts, but it was never like our gifts. So I just remember I shared my Christmas gift with them, and we played together, and it was just a very sentimental moment, which I'll always remember. You know.
Oh, can we get an aw? For me, my 10th birthday, my actual 10th birthday, not 10th for the first time.
How old are you?
I was born in 1989, so this is 1999. My mother bought me Pokemon Yellow, the Game Boy Color version, on my 10th birthday. And the crazy thing is, I didn't know she knew I liked Pokemon.
It's your mom.
We didn't talk about it. It's just I came home from school. I know, but I came home from school, and it was so nonchalant, like here. But it was like, oh my fucking God, you got me just what I wanted. I didn't ask for it. I didn't write it down. I didn't circle it nowhere. And it made me the happiest person in the whole world. I used to try to play it in a room when the lights was off.
Can we talk about? I had it was like a magenta Game Boy, right? And I wasn't like a big gamer growing up, but this was the first time I had a Game Boy because my brother had one, and it was a Pokemon game, and I would always play his. And my dad finally got me my own. So I remember, like, I love this fucking Game Boy, and I left it in a taxi cab one time. I wasn't in a taxi cab by myself, but, like, I think I was with my mom or something, and I just remember I left it and I never seen it again, and that was, like, the last Game Boy I ever had in my whole life.
You want me to get you a Game Boy for your birthday?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, what was the best meal that you've ever had? Where was it, or who cooked it?
For my birthday?
In general.
I've had a few people cook me food.
Okay.
And they cook pretty well, so I could never like narrow it down to like this person's meal was better than the other person.
What was the meal?
Nice. I've had really good mac and cheese. Boom. I had a really good steak. I've had really good pasta. So not everyone, but certain people make better dishes than others.
That's called riding the fence. Me, I don't ride the fence. I went to it was like this breakfast spot in San Diego, but it had like a dinner menu, and I
thought you said someone cooked for you.
No, I said best meal ever. Who cooked it, or where was it?
Oh, I didn't hear the last part.
It's okay because you don't like to listen to me. You be just going.
But it still kind of counts too then, because I've been to a couple nice restaurants. Go ahead.
I'm gonna find out who this mystery chef is, but wherever this place in San Diego was, we literally ate there 5 days straight. Mm-hmm. It was like fajita, but it had like this sauce on it. It was so fucking good. It was authentic Mexican. I'll never forget it.
I actually have an answer now.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I went to it was the Portofino Hotel in Orlando, Florida. Mm-hmm. And they had these breakfast croissants. I love croissants, number one. But they had like the sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And like it was just so light and fluffy and amazing. And we ate there multiple mornings because it was just so good. So
isn't that a wonderful feeling?
Yeah.
Speaking of Orlando, what's a place that you just have to travel to?
Have I ever been there?
No, that you just want to go to.
I would say Singapore. That's on my list. It's number one. I always hear great things about it. And I heard it's a very futuristic city. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful and it's clean and it's amazing.
And you can't spit on the
I don't know. But like they're literally in the future. So I want to go there.
Shout out to Singapore. I want to go to Cabo San Lucas.
I heard that's really nice.
Because
the beaches.
Obviously that's my family spot. You know, Aaron Lucas, Cabo San Lucas, you know. Oh, you don't agree? All right, that's cool.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Okay.
All right. What artist is playing in your car right now?
Really? You really gonna ask me this?
That's the question. It was on the timeline.
All right. Well, Chris Brown recently dropped 11:11 album, and it was amazing.
Oh, 73 song?
My favorite song on the album is, well, I have a couple. But I really like Moonlight, and I like Feel Something, and I like Press Me. These songs, they're so like, it's like very elevating, you know, because like the whole vibe of the album was more of like a high frequency, and he's like very tapped into his spirituality. And I picked up that vibe, and I loved it. Yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah,
living legend.
I've been playing a lot of 80s R&B, like She's a Bad Man Pajama type songs.
How old are you? He's probably
it's like good 50. Music. It's good music.
It is.
Right?
That's like 70s?
It's 80s.
Oh.
Some, what's that, Donna Summer, all that kind of stuff, disco. I just, I was just in the groove.
You hang out with your grandfather good. A lot? Shout out your grandfather.
Shout out my grandfather.
I didn't forget.
With the,
Aaron almost forgot.
With the Shador Sanders
hang out with his watch.
Wow. It's too big, though.
It's nice, though. What kind of watch is that?
I don't know watches.
Okay.
I just told him I was going to put it on.
I like the face of the watch. I guess.
I like the face of me. You know what I mean? Oh, that was the ding. It's okay, Marvin. All right, last question. If you got into a bar fight, what friend are you calling to have your back?
I'm calling.
Don't call me because we gonna get jumped.
No, I don't want to call a guy. I feel like that's not fair.
Fuck, I'm beating. I swear to God, I'm beating up girls. If you
get in a fight. Beat up.
I'm beating up every last one of them girls.
Wow.
You my friend. I'm not letting you get touched.
That's not fair.
I don't give a fuck about it being
fair. But thank you though for having my back.
No, hell no. Y'all not about to do this.
No, I'm calling up Dr. Jazz. Like she really with the shits.
She might be with the shits, but I don't want both of y'all to get
We both about 6 foot tall. Okay.
She is not no damn 6 feet.
She's like 5'7".
She like 5'4".
She like 5'7".
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call my boy Rel. Rel, he used to box. You know? So I know at least he know how to throw a punch. You know. No, matter of fact, scratch that. I'm gonna call my boy Camille, Jr. One person I know for a fact in this life got my back. The guy I literally just said it's okay. Is she listening to that?
All right. Well, before we get out of here, though, I do want to do a happy hour moment because I was looking forward to that until you like remixed it because it's your birthday.
It was on the timeline.
Yeah, I want to do my happy hour moment. So next week, I'm flying out to Pittsburgh for a holiday party.
You are flying to Pittsburgh?
It's a 6-hour drive.
Who flies to Pittsburgh?
It's a 6-hour drive.
Yeah, I used to live in Johnstown. It's an hour away.
No. It's an hour flight. Anyways, yeah, I'm flying out there. I'm going to meet all of my new coworkers in person. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, this will be like my first trip, like by myself, a work trip. So I feel very like prestigious and like I'm here for work.
It's a really nice, it's like a Italian restaurant in Pittsburgh that I went to. They got these umbrellas and stuff like that. It's really nice.
Oh, yeah, send that to me.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Mind you, I used to live out in PA a long time ago. I do not recommend it. It's...
I'm only there for work.
Yeah, don't go there for nothing else.
I live there.
But my happy hour moment is just continuing to be in that groove. New Year's is coming up. But we aren't starting in 2024. We are starting every single day. Because we don't rely on luck. You feel me?
We don't rely on time frames to be better versions of ourselves.
We are prepared for this. You feel me?
You have to be.
Not only are we built for this, but we've built for this. You feel me? Like, we keeping it going.
What did you say?
Not only are we built for this, but we've built for this.
Built for this moment. And the moment is now.
And tomorrow.
Ding.
It's okay. He been off a little bit. You've been off a little bit. I've been on a little bit because it's the late. Tequila.
But we do want to cheers to Aaron's birthday. Cheers. This was a great birthday special episode. The reason why we did this was because he was jealous of my episode I had for my birthday. And he was like, we never did nothing for my birthday. So I'm like, we'll do one for your birthday.
You know, for somebody who don't remember the conversations we be having during the podcast, she is really great at conversations.
You know what it is, though? Just a little side note. Like, certain things will spark my memory. Like, I don't just have things, like, ready to go. Like, conversation, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And then it'll come up. But, yeah, guys, if you want to join the podcast, you can hit our Gmail at woawpod@gmail.com.
And for all of y'all in our inbox, we will give you a schedule when we get a schedule. Okay.
It's not around your schedule.
It's not around your schedule. We will. We
have to do it around Marvin's schedule, our schedule, and then your schedule.
And so we are more than happy to work with any and everybody. Yes. But y'all gotta come on now. Understand. Give us time. And with that being said,
we outside and we out.
And I'm 30 for the 5th time. Hey.